Good morning. Today is Friday, December 15th, 2023. Almost every year, the Torah portion of Miketz, which is the Torah portion for this coming Shabbos that we read tomorrow morning, that Miketz is also Hanukkah. And therefore, the Haftora that we read, the passage from the prophets that we read, relates to Hanukkah. This year is a rare occurrence that Miketz is after Hanukkah. Today, Friday, is the last day of Hanukkah. So that means tomorrow is Miketz. So it's the regular Haftorah of Miketz. But since almost always on the Parsha Miketz we read the Haftorah for Hanukkah, we almost never read the actual Haftorah for this Parsha. And it is a very, very famous story. And it includes an important lesson for us to understand. This is the story of the two women who come before Shlomo HaMelech, King Solomon, with a baby, and both claim that the baby is hers. And the famous story, as we all know. Now, to appreciate this story, we first have to start with the passage before our Haftorah. Shlomo, the son of David, reigned as king of Israel for 40 years, 40. This happened approximately 3,000 years ago. And during Shlomo's reign, it is known as the golden age of Jewish history. There was peace in Israel. The Beit HaMikdash, the Holy Temple, was standing in Jerusalem. Most of the Jews were in Israel. Most of the Jews were following God's Torah, God's laws, God's values. And the entire scope of the Torah's laws applied to Jewish life. The agricultural laws applied, the social laws, the ways to take care of the vulnerable. So it was not just the religious and ritual laws that applied, but the entire spectrum of mitzvos of the Torah that relate to every single area of life applied during that time. The narrative of the Haftorah for this Shabbos is the first major narrative of Shlomo's reign. And this narrative plays a critical role for the rest of his life, for the rest of his reign. It plays a critical role in setting the tone for the rest of his 40-year reign. Now, the passage before our Haftorah is as follows. Begivon nira Hashem el Shlomo b'chalom laila. In Givon, God appeared to Shlomo in a dream. Shlomo had just been anointed as Melech Yisrael, the king of Israel. Vayomer Elokim, Sha'al ma'aten lach. Ask me for something, God says to Shlomo in this dream, and I'll give it to you. I'm willing to grant you something. Ask me, what do you want? So Shlomo says, V'nasata lavdecha leiv shomea, please give to me a heart that hears, lishpot es amcha, in order to judge your people, lohavin matov v'lara, to know what is good and what is bad. I want to be able to be a judge. As part of my role as king, I want to be able to effect mishpat, judgment. I want justice. I want there to be a just society. So give me the ability to know and to perceive and to understand justice. Vayitav hadavar b'nei Hashem. This request found favor in God's eyes because Shlomo was not asking for anything for himself personally. He was asking to be able to better do his job as the king. He was concerned about his people. So he wanted the skills to be able to be the best king that he could be. So God was happy. And God says to him in this dream, Hine asisi kidvarecha, I will do as you have requested. Hine nasati lecha lev chacham v'navon, I am going to give you a heart of wisdom and understanding. Asher kamocha lo haya lefanecha, there has never been a person as smart as you are. V'acharecha lo yakum kamocha, and there never will be a person with such insight as to what is right and what is wrong. That's the introduction. And the first passage after that dream is our Haftora. Vayikat Shlomo v'hinei chalom. Shlomo woke up from this dream, and now he has this amazing, unique ability that no one else in the world has. And the next pasuk says, Az tavona shtayim nashim el HaMelech. 2 women come before the king. So again, this is the first narrative after the gift from Hashem in the dream. It's the first narrative of Shlomo's long reign, and it will be presumably a demonstration of this great wisdom, this great knowledge that God has granted to Shlomo. So the story is like this. It's a famous story, but let's just review the story. 2 women come before Shlomo. One is holding a baby, and the other does not have a baby. The woman without the baby says to Shlomo, we both gave birth. There was no one else in the home. Her baby, she points to the woman holding a baby, her baby died, Nebuch, and that baby that she's holding, that's my baby. She took it from me. It's my baby. The woman with the baby says, this is my baby. It is her baby who died. So Shlomo famously says, cut the baby in half, and each of you will get half of the baby. So the woman holding the baby says, no, don't do that. Give it to the other woman. And Shlomo says then to the woman holding the baby, keep your baby, it is yours. Okay, famous story. But let's try to analyze it from a legal point of view. Why did the first woman claim the baby? I mean, she didn't come with a baby. One woman comes with a baby. The other woman comes with nothing. Why would she even claim that the baby was hers? Because there were no witnesses. She says this, both of us gave birth in the home and there were no witnesses. Had there been witnesses, the whole case would not have been possible because we would have just asked the witnesses, to whom does the baby belong? And according to Jewish law, if we had eyewitness testimony, direct eyewitness testimony, we would follow the witnesses. But there were no witnesses. So because there were no witnesses, it was possible for this woman to come and say, the baby that she's holding, it's mine. Let's try to understand this. Clearly, Shlomo, in this case, was a brilliant person. But did he exercise justice? Remember, he asked God for the ability to impose justice, to know right and wrong. Is what Shlomo said an example of justice? Well, the first thing Shlomo says, split the baby in half, clearly is not justice, because God forbid what would happen to the baby if the baby was cut in half, obviously. So that was not justice. The final decision to give the baby to the woman who did not come with the baby, that also was not justice. Because, remember, the woman without the baby was willing to cut the baby in half. So from there, by appearing to say, I would be willing to give it to either one, then the woman with the baby says, no, give it to her. From there, Shlomo, what? Intuits that the woman holding the baby is the real mother because she had mercy on her baby. She would rather the baby go to someone else than, God forbid, something bad should happen to the baby. So he intuits that the woman holding the baby is the real mother, and he gives the baby to the woman who's holding the baby. But it doesn't really express justice. I mean, it expresses manipulation, it expresses psychology, it expresses how to be able to get somebody to confess something that they may not want to confess. But how does it express justice? What does it say about justice? So I want to share this that I heard from Rabbi Yisrael Reisman many years ago. We have a legal principle in Jewish law that a woman with her baby is assumed to be the mother. If another woman claims that the baby is hers, but there are no witnesses, then that claim has no value. Because, here's the point, without witnesses, anybody can claim anything. If it would be the case that a woman could be holding the baby, and she gave birth alone at home with no witnesses, another woman could simply come up to her and say, it's my baby. And it's my baby, and I gave birth without any witnesses. So there are no witnesses. If I make a legal claim in the absence of witnesses or any kind of evidence, I could call anything into question. I could come to your house and say that, something that you're holding, it's mine. How can you prove that it's yours? If there are no witnesses, I could claim anything. I could cause anything to be questionable. And that would lead to a lawless society. Everybody would just go around claiming, I'll claim anything. And if you have something but you don't have witnesses, you buy something. And you don't keep the receipt. Let's say you've had it for a long time. You don't keep the receipt for years. Years later, does anyone? Do I have any proof that this computer? Well, I have that. But let's say something in my office. Do I have any proof that it belongs to me? I bought it a long time ago. I didn't keep the receipt. Can I prove that it's mine? If you come and you want to say no, it's really yours, but you don't have witnesses. Shlomo's decision was not an expression of justice. It was rather a decision that sets the tone for society that no one will get away with the claim just because there are no witnesses. Shlomo's judgment, which was very, very famous immediately, everyone said, wow, what a smart person he was. But his judgment was not technically mishpat. It wasn't technically justice, but it set the tone for mishpat. Because for as long as Shlomo was alive, people knew you couldn't just claim something unless you had witnesses. And that is what led to a just society. The last two psukim of the Haftora express this. Vayishmu kol Yisrael es hamishpat asher shafat HaMelech. Everyone heard about this story. You can imagine. I mean, it's a famous story even today. But as soon as it happened, everyone heard about the decision that Shlomo reached in this case of the two women. Vayiru b'mnei HaMelech. Everyone respected the king. Ki ro'u ki chachmas elakim b'kirbo lasash mishpat. They saw that there was the wisdom of God within Shlomo in order to be able to do justice. Vayihi HaMelech Shlomo Melech al kol Yisrael. And Shlomo was the king over all of Israel. Everyone accepted him. He set the tone for 40 years where throughout society there was respect for law, there was an understanding that law would be upheld, that justice would be performed within his society. And that is what he achieved. It is important. It is necessary for every member of a society to pursue justice and to pursue the appearance of justice, and that there should be an atmosphere where justice is respected and the decisions made in justice are accepted. We have a lot of problems with this today, especially in the United States. But the lesson that comes from Shlomo is that there must be a respect for justice and a respect for the decisions that are reached on the basis of justice. My friends, I wish you a great day and a wonderful Shabbos, and I look forward to seeing you soon in person.